Hello, Travel Week readers. I will just give you a minute to continue to sign on. I see you signing on at the bottom there. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited to present today's webinar to you. We have a really exciting show planned. Today we have Frank DaCosta here. He's the Global Sales Manager for NASA Kennedy Space Center, and we are here to learn more about the NASA Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. I'm really excited to learn more with you today, travel agent readers. Also, as you're signing on, something to know is that we have a great prize planned for those of you participating in today's webinar. Today, the prize are 3 tickets to NASA Kennedy Space Center. So awesome, exciting prize for you or to share with your clients when you visit or they visit Florida next. Before we get started on the webinar, I just have a few points of housekeeping. The first one, as always, is if you have any questions or comments that you would like to share during the webinar, please pop them into the Q&A box that you'll see at the bottom of your screen. I will pop on at the end of today's webinar and answer any questions or share any comments on your behalf. So please don't be shy. Feel free to share. And for those of you who are interested in the prize, please remember to stay through to the very end of the webinar, and then that will secure your eligibility for today's prize. And so with all of that in mind, I would like to now pass the floor over to Frank DaCosta. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to
me
part
too.
of this.
Absolutely, us too. What do you think, Travel Week readers? Absolutely. So from here, I will just pass the floor over to you, Frank, and I will come on again to answer any questions that our travel agent readers have today. And take it away. I can't wait to watch your presentation.
Thank you so much. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Travel Week readers. It's amazing to have a partnership with Travel Week over in Canada. I am right here in the beautiful state of Florida, right by the wonderful Brevard County in Cape Canaveral at the NASA Kennedy Space Center, where we are an active spaceport, and we are doing launches pretty much every other week. So just this weekend, we have a really nice SpaceX Falcon 9 pretty much launching with some materials to our space station in beautiful space, with pretty much about 9 astronauts there at this time working to develop and this whole new concept of all this treasure tree that we have coming up with NASA. But what I would like to do is pretty much invite you all, travel professional and travel readers, all a little bit about what NASA is and what Kennedy Space Center is. Why are we a theme park? Are we a museum? A lot of people have a lot of questions. We are actually, we really have an amazing story that when you come into our complex here at the Kennedy Space Center, you are actually immersing yourself into a past, present, and future of the storytelling of NASA. If it wasn't for NASA, we wouldn't have half of the things we have today. NASA is the one who pretty much spin off, your GPS system and your iPhones and your Galaxy phones, whatever gadget you have that helps you pretty much do a lot of things today. That's the beginning of NASA. Not only that, all the streaming and everything that you actually do technology-wise, ingenuity-wise, thanks to the spin-off of NASA. Starting from the beginning of the 1940s to the 60s and 70s, where we finally launched a man to the moon, till now, where NASA is working with commercial partners, such as our great friends, Blue Origin from Jeff Bezos, and the ones that you guys know so much of Elon Musk. So there's a lot going on here. Let's pretty much dive in a little bit and understand what is the NASA Visitor Complex. How can you understand? How can you come and emerge into the story? And how can you see the treasure tree for the next 25 years as we are about to? As a matter of fact, I have my shirt today, the Adamus where we're about to, in a few years, launch the first woman to walk on the moon. Girls power. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you. And you got the housekeeping, you got everything already, so we don't need to go through none of that. I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see a little bit what we have to offer. So Look Up is actually one of our big campaign that we are pushing. Is to feel the power of the rocket launch here at the NASA Kennedy Space Center. And one of the things that we wanted to promote for the next couple of years is Look Up. We want people to get off their gadgets and pretty much look up. So let's see this video.
Look at us. Heads down, constantly searching for the next big thing. There's a place where the next big thing is actually happening right above you. Come to where the most amazing things on Earth leave Earth. Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Look up.
So Look Up is one of our campaign. Still, our second campaign is Trust in Space. Obviously, the pandemic has gone. We still have a little bit of that little pandemic untrusty that we still have, and we continue the journey safely with guest health and safety measure. We no longer use face covering, but you are welcome to if you feel that you want to, you're not going to be judged, that you want to, cover your face with your mask. We're still working on physical distance, which we're not, joining people in bundle. We still allow people to have their nice space and distance. We continue to sanitize every single items that people touch. And we still continue to work with cashless transaction with your apps and whatnot that you guys use to not have to transaction with cash. After we went through a 2 years of pandemic, we have learned so much, and we could still continue the trust in space by continue what we have learned from the past. Let's explore a little bit. So when you come into to this beautiful complex, I want to show you guys, the complex is huge. It's a huge, huge complex. So the moment you come over with us, you actually cross over this bridge right here, and you are in an island. This bridge will pretty much cross you over from Orlando, which Orlando is right over here. And then this is actually our island, which we call it Cape Canaveral, NASA, and Kennedy Space Center. Right here, you have all that you need to learn a little bit about the island itself. So I'm trying to write and do this together. So pretty much right over here is where our, put a stamp right over here. Trying to draw and I can't draw anymore. That is so sad. I'm just gonna use my mouse. So right over here in this area is where the complex is. It's the visitor complex. So we have two annex. So we have two parks. We have this complex right over here, and then we have this second complex right over here. Over here is the main complex where you get checked in, where you get your secure clearance, and then you have the ability to play and walk around this complex. Then you get on a bus, and you actually get to come to this second complex, where this is where the Apollo 7 5 really happened. In 1962, everything started right in this area, right over there. And that's where this is the original Apollo Center, where Neil Armstrong, Buzz, and a lot of astronauts did train right over here and did the launch from the Saturn V Apollo mission from over here. We still to today have the control room, what we call it the fire room today, right there, that you could actually see how it was back on the 1970s. This is the land strip where the shuttle used to land during the 1982 to 2011. And this is the island. As you can see, this is all the launch pad that we have available. We typically use this two right here, the most active one, which this is the one that the Artemis system is that was launched in November 16 of last year, and it's gonna be the one that's gonna be launching for the next trajectory of 25 years. This is what the SpaceX Falcon 9 get launched every day. This is the ULA where they get launched. This is the SpaceX Falcon 9 that gets to be launched once a month. So there's a lot going on right now in our facility. It's huge, it's amazing. And you get to do a explore tour all around this island, and you will see a little bit more. So welcome to NASA Kennedy Space Center. At this time, this is our main entrance, where you get to have that beautiful logo, where you probably see a lot of pictures. That's our Cinderella castle right there. Everybody wants to take a picture in front of it. On the back of it, we have this amazing fountain dedicated to John F. Kennedy, while we name after him based on the speech that he gave us in the 1940s, how he challenged us to really put a man on the moon. Other than that, we are going into a little video, and this video doesn't have a sound because I get to talk by showing this video. This is exactly how you come in. As you can see, people love to take the little selfie. You get to meet spacemen when you come in the morning, and you get to walk into our rocket garden. The rocket garden is actually real rocket that's there that was defected. Then you get to see a little bit of the heroes and legend. You get to meet a astronaut walking around somehow. You get to shake his hands, meet him, get to chit-chat with him a little bit. There's other programs that you could have, like Chat with an Astronaut, that we'll talk about in a little bit. At the same time, you get 2 attractions in total right now. That's a virtual attraction where you get to go inside of the space launch and be launched just like an astronaut does. You get to see the space shuttle Atlantis right there. It's $1 billion orbiter that's sitting right there that took the last flight out of Kennedy Space Center. So there's a lot of fun things to do, very educational. We have 3 restaurants. We just launched the new Starbucks, just opened today. And you have the bus tour that's going to take you into one of our buses. All these buses are inside the complex, the compound. You get to see the assembling building where they're assembling pretty much all the rockets, from the Saturn V rocket to the space launch rockets, to the orbiters. And then you get to visit right here. That's the one of our Rocket 5 second annex, is our second complex, where from there you also get to see a lot of launches, and you get to see all the history of the moon, why we went to the moon, what was the outcome, all the work that we put into going to the moon. It's a really great concept. It's a very beautiful exhibit that you actually get to travel and immerse yourself. And you get to touch a little piece of the moon, just like that little kid does, and walk on a step of how Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. Again, the rocket garden, real rockets. They were just defected. So instead of getting rid of them, NASA put them out here and told the story. This is actually a lot of story here, a lot of history. I'm not going to go into it because it's going to keep us hours just to learn each of these rockets, from the beginning to the first satellite we launched to the moon, to the first American astronaut that went into space, and everything else that we have done. The Heroes of Legend, where we pay tribute to every single astronaut that gave back to our community and gave back to our Earth. Heroes and Legend is an attraction that you get to see exactly the storytelling of our astronauts. The Kennedy Space Center bus tour is just a regular tour. It takes you to one from phase A to phase B. Is actually, it's part of your ticket. So it's complimentary. You don't have to pay for this one. What you're gonna pay extra for is the Explore tour. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. Again, this tour would only take you to the Apollo Saturn V Center. You don't get to see anything because it's just a straight line going to the Apollo Center. You do go in front of the assembling building, but it doesn't really stop or do anything. This is a little bit, just another video. I will talk to you about the Saturn V.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
When President John F. Kennedy made this speech in 1962, he set in motion an era of discovery that would change humankind forever. 7 years after he spoke these ambitious words, the world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The achievement of the men and women who worked on the space program in these early decades of NASA helped propel the technology we use every day. NASA and the thriving private space industry at Kennedy Space Center today are the living legacy of their story. As we arrive at the Apollo Saturn V Center to learn more about that historic era, get ready to step back into a time when NASA had everything to prove to a nation focused on one goal: to be the first country to land a person on the moon.
Please.
That's exactly this is what Apollo Saturn V is. Really excited just to hear John F. Kennedy doing that speech. I have heard that 1,000 times, but it still gives me goosebumps. It was one of the most motivated speech ever for NASA. The Apollo Saturn V is exactly where Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong trained. This is a historical building right here in our complex, where we named this the Eagle have landed, because we actually landed and walked on the moon. Inside this building, you will be spend probably about an hour inside this building if you are really a space interest. But if you're not, you probably do about a good 30 to 45 minutes. I have spent 2 hours inside this building because of the details of everything that's in it. So inside of this building, the first thing you encounter is the Apollo 8 and the fire room, where you get to actually feel the heat, feel that moment, feel that launch inside of we call it the operational room. That's why we call it a fire room. The director will lead you to exactly every single piece of equipment and how you prepare to launch a rocket. Right after that, you get to view and walk under the most powerful rocket in the world, which is the Saturn V rocket, the one that took 3 of our astronauts to the moon. And you get to understand how this rocket was built and how it's these 3 phases of it. And at the same time, you got the ultimate road trip. You got the moonscape. You got the exploring to the moon, the Asper per Asper, where we pay tribute to that 3 astronauts, the first 3 astronauts that die inside the capsule because of that fire, and the door hinge locked. Then you have the lunar theater, where you get to see exactly the replica of how we landed in the moon and how we walked around it. And then you got the Apollo 13 artifacts, where we call it the mission of success to failure, where 3 astronauts was heading to the moon, and unfortunately it didn't go as planned. But the success part of it is that they came back, the 3 of them, alive. And that is the capsule of Apollo 13, where you get to actually see it, take a picture of it, because it was restored back from the ocean when it fell, and we kept it as a reminder of a success failure, but a failure to success. Moving on. The moon tree garden is one of my favorite. When Neil Armstrong walked in the moon, he took about 30 pieces of seeds of Canadian tree. And that Canadian tree, he left a few seeds in the moon to see if it will ever, pretty much grow. And then the other rest he planted right here at the Apollo Saturn V, where today these trees are huge, and they're the leaves that represent the Canadian flag. I love that part, because, Canadian is one of my market. And there's just a lot going on, the space.
Today, this part of the coastline, proudly known as the Space Coast, is the epicenter of the aerospace industry, employing over 100,000 people in Florida. What was once a rural farming community just 60 years ago is now a multi-user spaceport shared by the United States government and private industry. You'll get to see that private industry at work throughout the tour.
So why did NASA choose?
So here's what we're going to work on. We're going to talk to you a little bit is the tour that we do. It's called the KFC Explorer Tour. It's an added ticket. It's not part of your admission. And that's where you go and you actually get to explore beyond the NASA's gate with the Explorer Tour. And I'll tell you a little bit more in just after that. But before we go into the Explorer Tour, we actually have to come back into the complex, the main complex. And the first thing we encounter when we come back from the Apollo Saturn V is the Space Shuttle Atlantis. The Space Shuttle Atlantis, like no other, we only had 6 orbiter, and there's a few, one at the Smithsonian in DC, one at Houston, our mother headquarters. The other one is in New York, the Interpreter, and then the other one is in LA, Museum of Aircrafts. And the first thing, and then this one sits right here at the Kennedy Space Center. This is the $1 billion orbiter that sits right here in our home, where we are the keeper of this orbiter. And this aircraft went to space 33 times and done a lot. And one of the most beautiful historical thing that it did, it took the Hubble telescope, where today we get to see everything that's happening in space, how deep space is, how can we explore space because of the orbiter telescope. And other than that, this beautiful orbiter also built the space station that today is orbiting our planet and helping develop better technology. Again, inside this building, you actually see the Hubble Space Telescope Theater, where you get to see what the Hubble telescope really did and is doing for us. The astronaut training simulator, you get for forever remember, let's remember that tribute to the crews of the Challenger and the Columbus that did not make it, one going up, one coming down. The ISS Triumph of Technology, where the kids get to explore how it is to live inside of an International Space Station. Then we have the shuttle launch experience, where you get to be launched just like an astronaut into space before it goes up. That sensation, that rumble, that feeling, that feeling that's going to take you up to space, and that little chest pain of how the velocity of the supersonic will get you. The shuttle launch experience includes, with your admission, allow 30 minutes for the ride. Visitor must be at least 44-inch tall, accessible for visitor with disability, and no personal item must be stored in lockers because you will lose them when we go up to space with them. It's really fun. Chat with an Astronaut is where you get this intimate, only 40 people into this area, this room. It does have food included, where you get to speak with an astronaut and ask them all sorts of questions. How did you use the bathroom? How did you sleep? How did you breathe? What did you think of seeing from space or Earth, how big it is? It's really cool because he will answer all that question. He will come to your table and spend time with you as you chat with him with your family. It's an add-on value. It's a $50 per person ticket item. So this is not inclusive in your admission. Astronaut Encounter. This is something that is included in your admission. It's daily schedule, located in the Universal Theater. It's wheelchair accessible and includes in your daily admission. Each day, Kennedy Space Center visitor gets an opportunity to meet a very NASA astronaut and just hear him on his mission. On this one, you don't get to ask him questions. There's over 500 people in this theater, so we don't open for Q&A, but we do just sit there and hear and see a real astronaut. The Cosmic Quest is something that is no longer available. We just removed it for the summer. The Martian rover vehicle, you get to see the rover. Educational group program, we do have ATX and private tours. This is our ATX program, which you get to pay individual stage. This is actually an add-on as well. It's not part of your ticket, where you actually get to go into this facility and train like an astronaut. We have the IMAX Theater, complimentary, part of your tickets. We get 2 showings of different movies, and it's 45 minutes throughout the day, every 45 minutes. The mission status briefing, another concept that you actually get to discover what's happening at the current NASA's mission. The Planet Play, it's a 3-floor Chuck E. Cheese for the kids to just run around and play from age 2 to 12. And when the parents just need a break and want to get out of that heat, by the way, it's 107 degrees today here in Orlando, Florida. You might want to go into Planet Play and just relax there for about an hour or so. We do serve alcohol for you guys to drink, a little wine and beer inside the Planet Play where the kids run free. Just make sure you keep an eye on your kids. This is still Planet Play, so you can see how big it is. It's a 3-floor of just entertainment, tunnels, jump up and down, lots of game, interactive game, a lot going on. The Journey to Mars Explore is one of my favorite, where you get to listen to several different speakers throughout the day, just talking about how we need technicians wanted, assembling required, survivor wanted, explore wanted, and we need you to help us. It's where you motivate your kids. It's more for kids and adults to be motivated to go into the world of NASA and the world of this ingenuity of space. The Space Mirror Memorial, something that we have out there, just reminding the fallen astronaut. It's including your admission, and it's an outdoor. It's about a good 10 minutes just to read it and see how the solar system works with the sun. This is a step into Journey. It's just something we do and we make it fun. So this is all of our staff thanking you guys for coming out to our beautiful complex at Kennedy Space Center. And one of my favorite is the space rocket launch. So pretty much like I say, every week or every other week, there is a space rocket launch. You might get an opportunity to see it. If you are in a complex, it's part of your admission. If it's during operational hours, if it's not, then there is a special ticketing viewer that you could go to the Banana Creek Lunch viewing area or the Atlantis North Lawn viewing area. Again, this is our most famous, everybody want to see. It's a must do. It's a bucket list for you to see a rocket being launched into space from the complex. It's exactly like you see in this picture. It's very exciting. And obviously, we have our last
3, 2, 1, 0. Mission liftoff.
Artemis 1 will lift off from Launch Pad 39B at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida with 8.8 million pounds of thrust, provided by the most powerful rocket in the world, our Space Launch System rocket, or SLS. The uncrewed flight will be the first integrated test of SLS, our new Orion spacecraft, and exploration ground systems at Kennedy. Artemis 1 will send Orion beyond the moon, 280,000 miles from Earth, farther than any human spacecraft has ever flown.
This is not NASA doing this. This is the United States of America doing this program, the Artemis program, and there are companies all across our country that have a part in it, so there is kind of this wave of excitement being generated just by saying, we're going back to the moon.
After the upper stage of the rocket separates from Orion, the upper stage will deploy small satellites over several days to perform science experiments and technology demonstrations. Orion will make its multi-day outbound trip to the moon, propelled by a service module provided by the European Space Agency. Engineers will test Orion's systems on the way to the moon. Then, Orion will fly about 60 miles above the lunar surface, using the moon's gravity and engines on the service module to enter a lunar orbit. After about a month and a total distance of over 1 million miles, Orion will return home, faster and hotter than any spacecraft has before. A primary goal of Artemis 1, ensure Orion safely returns to Earth before we fly with humans. When we do, we'll build our capability for sustainable lunar exploration, preparing us for missions farther into the solar system.
Initially, what we'd like to do is start establishing a presence on the moon. So we're going to establish going back there on a regular basis, and then we'll end up setting up Gateway, and we would launch to the Gateway, and from Gateway, land on the surface of the moon.
We are there for, weeks, months on end. And there, we're going to be able to test out all the hardware and the habitats and the hatches and the suits and the rovers that'll allow us to prove out those technologies. The moon will lead the way to Mars, and we should be there within the next couple of decades.
All right. And that is what the Artemis program is. The Artemis program, as you can see, is what we focus on right now. We're pushing this program forward. This is going to be the first woman to walk on the moon, astronaut Stephanie D. Wilson and astronaut Kylie Behrens. You guys must have heard already that we are going to have an astronaut from Canada that's going to pretty much fly and rotate through the moon, orbit the moon this coming year, but he's not going to land on the moon. The first person to land on the moon will be a woman, It will be a color, African-American colored woman, and she'll be the one to land and walk in the moon like Neil Armstrong did on the 70s. And the 4 astronauts that's going on the next year mission is just orbiting the moon and returning back to Earth on Artemis program. And one of them will be the first time ever a Canadian astronaut. I'm really excited for that. And to finalize everything,
the future of space travel is coming. Are you ready for liftoff? Gateway, only from Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex.
Our Kennedy Space Center just built this amazing building called the Gateway Deep Space Launch. Gateway Deep Space Launch is actually an added-on to our facility as a exhibit, where you find pretty much everything there of the trajectory of the next space adventure that we have. So pretty much this is it. It wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't that painful. I wanted to make easy and quick for you guys. New things happening here right now. We are celebrating 40 years of the first woman in space. So if you do come to the Kennedy Space Center, you will get a little button and some stuff going on for the first woman, the first astronaut woman in space, celebrating 40 years. We just launched the Snoopy show, where Snoopy is very important to us. He's actually one of our mascots, because every time the astronauts go to space, the only way for them to know that they have hit atmosphere is that Snoopy goes up inside the rocket, because they're really tied in, so they don't know yet when they have, they broke into the atmosphere. So Snoopy's sitting there, and then he starts flowing, and then they know that we have, we are now flowing. So NASA decided to do a nice little contract with Snoopy and invite him to be part of our mascot. Snoopy the dog, yeah, that's him. So you will find a lot of merchandising of him here at Kennedy. You will find a show twice a day of how he and his crew, the Peanuts crew, go and set up the Artemis program. Other than that, we just opened a brand new Starbucks. A lot going on, more projects to come. We constantly keep innovating and making the complex very active for the youngs, the mids, and the adults, and the space interest. So once again, for all the 40 agents that are here with us, welcome to push this product to your people. There's lots of places where you could get commission on it. We are building a portal just for you guys. The portal will be released by the end of this year. It's gonna be like a type of a DTA, like your Disney travel agent portal, where you will have access to all this product, and you will be commissioned directly from NASA Kennedy Space Center to you guys. So that way you don't wanna have to bother with third party or who else, and they don't pay you commission. It's gonna be all done by us. Just like we kind of copy Disney a little bit of their Disney travel agent program. It's going to be pretty much similar. We'll give you access to free entry to our parks. We're going to give you discounted for chat with an astronaut or any of this other product we have. All you have to do is log in, your credential, your IATA information, and you have access to buy with a 10% commission. Maybe sometime we might throw in a promotion for 15% commission. So that's all coming here pretty soon. Keep an eye on it, because I'm sure Travel Week will pretty much push that for us as a great partnership we have with Travel Week, letting you know that now Kennedy does travel agent commission through our portal. Well, that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank. That was such a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing all that information with us. I don't know about you travel agents, but I am definitely ready to head to Kennedy Space Center right now. So many fun things to do there. And that was really great information at the end as well, Frank, about the travel agent portal that you'll be launching soon. So travel agents, please keep an eye out through Travel Week and through all our different communications for when that launch is going to happen in the future. Frank, I was curious, in the meantime, before the travel agent portal is up, if we have travel agents who are interested in visiting Kennedy Space Center to check it out so they can get to learn the product better for their clients, is there a way that they can get access to any travel agent rates or anything like that now? And how would they do that if so?
The only way for them to get travel agent price now, it's going to be through the third-party travel brands, you know, their Air Canada vacation, they sell a product. So I don't know what the commission structure is and none of that, but that's the only way for now. But I am working diligently hard, and we already starting to see the end of the tunnel. That's one of the things I wanted to do when I first took this position, is to give you guys a direct access. So that way you guys could get your 10% right off the bat. And it's a website, you log in, you have your username, password, you log in, you purchase your ticket, you put your guest's credit card, and then your 10% go to you right away. And then that also gives you ability to buy the add-ons, such as the ATX training, maybe launches if we have any, and those things. So
that's excellent. No, that all sounds wonderful. Thank you. I just wanted to make it clear for our readers now so they knew the differences there. And what I am getting a few questions about is, one is from Aaron, and he's curious if we know the date of the launch of the travel agent portal yet.
Yes, the day I don't know if you're talking about the date for the launches, for like rocket launches.
No, for the travel agent portal, but I hear you, that would be
definitely. So I'm going to answer you both. Rocket launches, we always have the calendar open on our website at Kennedy, at the KennedySpaceCenter.com. And then for our portal, like I said, I can't give you dates because you never know what technology works with. It's all connectivity, and that's the beauty. So it's live inventory. You guys are gonna get. You guys are not gonna go through like, oh, I gotta wait. It's live confirmation. The moment you book that ticket or that Chadwick or that Explore tour, it's live inventory. So you're gonna be able to get that confirmation live right there. So we're working on technology. So I'm saying towards the end of the year, I'm saying December, and believe me, Travelweek will be pretty much pushing that press release and all that information. So yeah, let's keep an eye on December, and I promise you guys. And the reason why I'm building this is mainly for you guys in Canada, because I know North America really like to have control. They want to go through the wholesaler. They want to go have control of buying now. No, they're gonna get their check right away. So yeah, so keep an eye on it. But for typically your launches, our website have dates on launches in case you have any guests in town and you want to say, hey, there's a launch at Kennedy. Let's get you out there. That's it.
Yeah, those are both great tips. So travel advisors, just keep in mind and make sure that you're signed up for Travelweek's communications, our e-blast. And if you're reading the publication, you will definitely see when the launch for the travel agent portal for NASA Space Kennedy Center is coming out. So just keep an eye out there. I have another attendee today who's asking specifically about travel agent rates. And so what I think they mean is not necessarily commissions, but if there's a travel agent who wants to come to Kennedy Space Center and see all the product for themselves, is there a way that they can access a travel agent rate?
Yes, we do. So you have two options here. Option number one, you could get a complimentary ticket for you and 50% off for your family. So your complimentary tickets, you have to go through the Visit Orlando Academy. And if you do the Visit Orlando Academy certification, and if you choose Kennedy, at the end of it, you will get a certification. You just then, it gives you the explanation there. Email this to this email address with a screenshot of your certification, and we'll give you the complimentary ticket. Now, if you're an IATA holder and a business card, all you have to do is come into our premises, go into the will call, and you get 50% off immediately for you and your party. If you're an IATA travel agent holder, you have to have a business card and your IATA number.
Excellent.
So those are the two options you have as a travel agent to come and visit the complex. And keep an eye on FAM or Visit Orlando, have a great partnership with us. So we do a lot of FAM. And that's something that we are open to. And then you get more detail with the fan versus walking by yourself. You get to really understand the complex itself.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that information, Frank. That is really useful for our participants today. And yeah, I was curious to know, Frank, is there any places within the Space Center that you just keep going back to? Like, where are your favorite spots that you really just love to continue to visit?
I'm a big historical guy. I love history. So my favorite is the Apollo 7.5. There's just, a lot of people look at it like, wow, look at all this old technology. I'll be honest with you, the technology is so old that my iPhone have more power, have more technology than the rocket itself. But it's just the fact that back then we were so technology challenged. We were not so ahead in advance of what we are today, that I look at it and I say, we still put a man on space with this technology. And that's where I'm proud. It's in a proud moment to be an American, to be here. So, and don't forget, Canada helped a lot. Canada not only helped with the Apollo, but also helped with the shuttle orbit. To today, when you go to the shuttle orbit, there's a big arm that says Canada and have the flag. If it wasn't for that arm, we never would have built the space station. So there's a lot of collaboration between Canada and America. And that's why I get very excited to have been part of both worlds.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Frank. We have a question here from Victoria, and she's asking, how far from Port Canaveral cruise port and the best way to get there from the cruise port is what she's asking.
This is very exciting because it's only 5 minutes.
Okay.
You could see the cruises from from Kennedy Space Center, and you can actually watch launches from Kennedy Space Center. And one of the fun thing is now is that cruises are not allowed to leave when there's a launch. They got to wait for the launch to be completely for the cruise to be able to get the okay from the Air Force to depart. So it became very cool now that people get to watch launches from the cruise port. But it's only 5 minutes, and there's tons of transportation there. Uber is only like about $9. And if you want to do one of the Gray Line or any other transportation, it is available from the Port Canaveral. And we even have NASA buses there for people who just want to come over during their port of call. So yes, cruise line and Kennedy Space Center go hand in hand together. Matter of fact, we are one of the biggest ports, the busiest port in the world right now, and tons of cruise line are coming over to us to spend the day before they head out to their next port of call.
Excellent. Thank you. So that's really good information for your cruise clients, travel advisors. So thanks very much for that question, Victoria. And then we have a question from Anna, and she's asking, are there any accommodations inside Space Kennedy Center or any close by?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we just opened just last year, Marriott Courtyard, right across that bridge. When I gave you that little map, right across that bridge. Before you cross the bridge, literally, the Marriott's actually overseeing the Banana Creek River, and you get to watch launches out of there. They have a roof bar, and that's our hotel. It's Delaware North. They own that property, and it's, prices average out, but it's available online. It's called Marriott, it's called Courtyard by Marriott at Kennedy Space Center. That's the name of it. And you could actually, it's about 250 rooms total. Every room it's designed and signed by an astronaut. We had over 200 astronauts that stayed at the hotel and pretty much signed the wall by the bed. Wow. It's really unique design. You could Google it and pretty much seen a picture of it. Good question. I'm going to start adding that. I'm going to add a slide of that hotel just so you guys know that we now have a hotel that you could have packages within that hotel already with ticket and everything else in there for you guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anna, for that question, and Frank for answering it. So a really great add-on to an itinerary for any clients visiting Florida who are real space enthusiasts, who also like to stay somewhere in a hotel room that is designed by an astronaut. That is very, very cool. Yeah, thank you, Frank. And then I just have a few comments here. Claudia says, great presentation. Thank you. Paula says, thank you for this amazing presentation. I cannot wait to visit. And Vika says, excellent presentation. Thank you. So thanks, travel agent participants, for all your comments and questions today. Frank, is there anything else you would like to add before we head out for today?
No, it's all good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you. I see somebody's coming in December. We're looking forward to seeing you. We love the Canadian market. As you know, I think we are the same. We share same common and interest. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. I know it's a crazy day, but thank you. And it's really hot. So if you're coming down, drink a lot of water and make sure you put some sunscreen.
Thank you for that. Well, we hope you stay cool over there, Frank, and we really appreciate you coming on and sharing with our Travel Week community today. And travel agents, I want to say thank you to all of you for coming on to participate today. You will all be eligible for today's prize of 3 Kennedy Space Center tickets. So stay tuned for the prize winner announcement. I will be announcing that online within the next 24 hours. Frank, travel agents, have a great rest of your day, and we will see you again at the next webinar. Take care, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take
travel
care.
agents.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.